Hey y'all, it's Belle. Welcome back to my channel. Today's going to be a wrap-up of my recent reads. First, I finished the Tristan Strong trilogy. This is Tristan Strong Keeps Punching by Kwame, Mbalia. This is the third. I won't read the synopsis, but man, this was good. This was so phenomenal. These just got better and better. And this is a new favorite series for sure. Oh, and each has... so beautiful. I'm so sad. I wish these would just continue on forever because I'm just going to miss them so much. Like the other two, I learned a lot of important things from history, including things about slavery, the Civil War, and also things this time about locations like Lanes and Chicago that I didn't know. Trauma is still a big theme, and I appreciate that. Tristan has so much anger, not just from his own trauma, but others that he's seen through their stories or their spirits, or living people in current time who are dealing with so much and the world is just ignoring them. The villain is just still evil and despicable, and he also has new evil and despicable ones that join him. Even a group of bigots from our own world that made me sick. They're just so ignorant and stupid. Like, they were just ridiculous. I couldn't... A lot of things hurt my heart in here and made me angry, and they should make you angry. My heart and emotions were all over the place. Tristan and the Ballad of the Gummy will not be forgotten anytime soon. That was such a fantastic part of the book. But there are so many, though. That just... my heart. Tristan and Gum Baby. And I don't know if I'll ever love a character as much as I've grown to love Gum Baby. And she was so next level in this with her B-log. You have to read it. And I don't think I'll ever feel as at home with a character as I have with my time with Tristan. These are just so special, and the writing is so engaging, and the story is just so immersive and gripping. And the humor is next level. Like, it's my kind of humor, and I loved it. And the themes and messages in here are so incredibly important, and they're like the core and structure of the whole book, I think, in my opinion. And the ending was so good, so satisfying. And Tristan and his strength and determination had tears in my eyes, and I had pride in my heart for him. Such an amazing kid. Stories are so important, and that includes each and every human being's own story. Each and every person in this world matters, regardless of race, religion, sex, or anything else. Also, some great messages on anger, like the good and the bad. And I'm gonna end it like I did in my review. So let me tell you a story. And I put, nah, I'll leave that to the master, Kwame and Mbalia. And I'll just tell you need to read these. And also remember, never give up and keep punching. Absolutely love them with my whole heart. And I'm gonna miss them so much. But they'll be there anytime I want to visit. These two right here, best duo ever. Have my whole heart. Then I read The Edge of Strange Hollow by Gabrielle K. Byrne. Welcome to Strange Hollow. Beware the Grimwood. Poppy Sunshine isn't like everyone else in Strange Hollow. She's not afraid of the Grimwood, home to magical creatures like shapeshifters, fairies, witches, and even a three-headed dog. Banned from the wood by her parents, Poppy longs to learn everything about it and imagines joining her mother and father as they hunt the forest's cursed magical objects. So when her only family disappears on a routine expedition, she and her friends must break every rule to save them. But Poppy soon discovers that things in the Grimwood are rarely what they seem, and the monsters who took her parents may not be monsters at all. So I wanted to read her newest after I read her oldest, which was Rise of the Dragon Moon, and I absolutely loved it. And if she keeps this up, she's going to become a favorite author. I like to read at least 3 before I say that, but these middle grade fantasies are right up my alley. The writing, they're darker, imaginative, adventurous, and everything about this world and the Grimwood especially was just so intriguing and fascinating. Like the different hollows, the wards, the poem, maledictions, the thorn trees, the governor, the holly oak, the fae, the boatman, Hobbs, and all the different creatures, beings living in the wood, such as the witches, trolls, mogwins, so many more. And the whole backstory of the hollows, the Grimwood, the holly oak, Fog, and Poppy's family themselves, just so incredible. I was so hooked. And the characters are also so imaginative in every way. Poppy is a human girl, but there's nothing plain or average about her. She's so headstrong and determined. She does a few annoying things, being somewhat selfish, and she hurts her best friend's feelings, breaking promises, etc. But not to the point where it was so bad that I didn't like her the whole book or anything like I have in other books. And it actually made me become more attached and fond of her because her character growth was so phenomenal and believable. And her best friend Mac, who is an elf, He believes that he may have some human to him, though. I think it said his grandpa was human. So he's fascinated by all things human, and he's just the cutest and the sweetest soul. He wants to just do good above all else. And then there's Nuala, the friend they make at the beginning of the book. She can shapeshift into different animals, and she's called a puka, which is a lesser fae as it's described, which I think is kind of harsh. She's so intriguing and fascinating, and I loved her. My whole entire heart goes to Dog. Well, some of it goes to Mac and also Jute, who's the sweetest too. But Dog is the three-headed Cerberus. Each head has a different name to go with the entirely different dog personality, but to shorten saying all the names, they just call them Dog. And I loved it. Oh, and I love a kid we meet later on named Mags as well. She is a force to be reckoned with, and she is a phenomenal character. She needs her own book. Great messages in here, of course. How fear can turn people hateful, make them do the most horrible things, and great look at who the real monsters in life can be. Also, great trust, friendship, and family lessons and messages. This is so full of adventure and amazing friendships. I don't know if there will be more. The author said she left it open for more, but she doesn't know at this time if there will be. But I would love more. So love it. And I read Norman Ginger Enter the Hidden, book 1 by Betty Fudge, and the author had sent this to me, so thank you very much. There's a secret hiding inside the remote Vermont farmhouse where 11-year-old Becky and her family move after her father is fired from his job under mysterious circumstances. A guardian emerges with an ominous warning that someone is coming through a mirror to take Becky from the safety of her new home and leads her to the discovery of artifacts hidden under her bedroom floor. That same night, she finds an abandoned puppy destined to protect her, and whose collar causes the artifacts to turn on. An ancient battle resumes for control over a secret once thought buried too deep to be uncovered. As more mysterious creatures arrive, how will she know who is there to help and who means her harm? Becky and her new puppy must race to interpret the warnings, overcome their fear of sinister forces, and trust in new alliances to solve a compelling mystery that has been hidden from her family for generations. But is it too late? This was so heartwarming and magical. I really enjoyed it. It's just very whimsical. It's full of adventure, danger, magical talking animals, which I love, a mysterious dollhouse, fae, an evil villain, good versus evil, another world, there's mystery, and there's even dragons. There's so much mystery surrounding the dollhouse, and also who can we trust, who's good, who's bad. Then the mystery objects found, and also the mystery of how these certain animals can talk to each other and understand each other, plus special aspects of each animal. Ginger has my whole heart. She's so pure, innocent, and sweet. Such a great dog. She loves her Becky and family so much, and even though she's terrified, she's willing to do whatever it takes to save her family. And I found all of these things fascinating, as well as the backstory of the dollhouse and those involved with it, including other aspects such as the diary, the necklaces, the stones, etc. And such engaging characters, and just love them. Human, animal, and fae. Just a fun, magical adventure, full of so much heart. Can't wait for book 2. Then I read Catalyst by Sarah Beth Durst. Zoe named the kitten Pipsqueak because she was so tiny and promised to always take care of her. Then the kitten grew and grew. Now she's bigger than a horse and talking as well. Fleeing into the woods to escape the curious eyes of the internet, Zoe and her best friend Harrison must keep the giant cat hidden as they desperately search for a way to return her to normal size. If they don't succeed, Pipsqueak may never be safe again. But why did she grow so large in the first place? And what if trying to change her back leads to even greater danger? This was so charming and heartwarming. Such a great adventure. It has my heart. I loved it. All the characters are fantastic, as is their dynamic. From Zoe's family, her best friend Harrison, and his cousin, their babysitter, Sarita, to Pipsqueak. It's just so good. So engaging, adventurous, very entertaining. Pipsqueak, of course, has my whole heart. But I'm also quite fond of Buttermouse and Kermit. You have to read it. No matter her size, she was the most adorable, sweetest, best cat ever. Big messages in here on loving and accepting others as they are and not trying to change them. Zoe and Harrison's friendship was so amazing. It was just, I loved it. I loved them. Sarita was hilarious, and I love what her character brought to the story. Such a great read. An adorable kitten that grows bigger than an elephant that you can ride, and she talks. I mean, come on. Yes, please. The journey the kids and the cat take is just such a great adventure. I just loved that whole journey. And the ending had so many twists, and I loved all of them. I was wondering how things were going to be explained and come together, and I loved what the author did and how she wrapped it up. And there's even a Buffy the Vampire Slayer reference in here, and that's one of my favorite all-time TV shows ever, and I love the movie. So I absolutely love that. So Sarah Beth Durst is definitely a favorite author now. Everything I've read by her has been phenomenal. And there's another book in here by her. So then I read, I think this is the 4th book, so I won't read their synopsis, in the Kingdoms and Empires series. This is The Astonishing Chronicles of Oscar from Elsewhere by Jaclyn Moriarty. It's a naked hardback. So beautiful. Illustrations throughout. So beautiful. I absolutely love this series so much. Oh, it's so good. We have a lot of the old favorites in here, and then from books 1 and 3. And we meet a new character who quickly becomes a favorite in this one. The author has such a unique writing style in these, and I couldn't even try to explain it. Or how amazing it is. It's so funny, engaging, and entertaining, all while so much is going on, and at most times chaos, but it never feels chaotic. Like, the author makes it flow so well, and you know everything that's happening. And the chapters alternate between 2 characters, and as always, I love seeing both experiences and perspectives. Such different characters, but similar in so many ways as well. These have so much adventure and misadventures, humor, and so many great messages. They're so quirky with the writing and the characters, and you fall in love with both. Such a great series. So original, unique, imaginative, just phenomenal. I highly recommend. And I didn't know if there will be more, but the author did put in the comments that she was working on the 5th one, so I'm so excited. It's going to keep going. I want it to go on forever. They're so phenomenal. Love them. Highly recommend. And then I read The Munchkins Part 1 by Candice. The author sent this to me. Thank you very much. When Capricorn Munch and her 12 siblings appear outside a children's home, no one, including themselves, knows who they are or where they came from. At 10 years old, they stop aging, as she and her siblings develop powers that gift them with incredible abilities like healing wounds and manifesting objects. They keep these powers secret, and their adoptive father restricts their use. Capricorn strives to live a normal life, blissfully playing with her favorite sisters, witty and bold Allie, empathic and wise Breezy, and giddy and sweet Hazy. But now a sudden threat has intruded on their carefree lives. Their next-door neighbor, a man who calls himself Big Boss. Capricorn watches fretfully as Big Boss encroaches on her family like a malevolent force, feeding hostility between her siblings and causing them to be reckless with their powers. Capricorn knows Big Boss is plotting something sinister and can only pray it doesn't end in ultimate doom for her and her family. Very dark, gripping, and suspenseful. The writing is what blew me away the most about this. So well written, and how much emotion the writing can bring out in me. I was very impressed. Very hooking from the start. A lot darker than I thought it would be, so I'd say upper MG, but I love that about it. One thing that I'll say is I was mad the whole time reading this, if you've seen that vlog. Either at 2 of the most horrible sibling characters ever, Big Boss, or that nobody was helping this family, even the cops. They were like, no, we're not gonna do anything. There wasn't that balance that you usually see, like especially with Metal Gray. The parts where good characters have something good happen or get one up on the bad guy. This had none of that. This was like a villain victory story, and I was just mad. It hinted at the beginning of the book about something sad that happens, but the book ends without that happening or even getting to what is going on with where the main character is at the beginning. And also, because she's telling a story looking back how she got up to this point, but we haven't even got up to where the point she is yet, if that makes sense. And it also ends on a cliffhanger, and there's no resolution, so I stayed angry. And then there was nowhere for the anger to go. Like I said, though, the writing is superb, and I flew through this. The story is so incredible. I just wish there was more of a balance instead of all one thing, if that makes sense. Capricorn is the character telling the story, and I loved her. Allie is my favorite, though. She has some of the most witty and incredible dialogue. She's a pistol. I also love Breezy. She's so sweet and wise. She's a voice of reason. She's just so amazing. I'd never want to be in a debate with her or Allie. I love the concept and all the details of their powers. I also found their backstory, or the mystery of it, very fascinating. I can't wait to learn more about that. Cece is so incredible too. So I cannot wait for the next book and see what happens. I'm crossing my fingers. The sad thing hidden at the beginning is a misunderstanding. And there's more balance, but can't wait. And the other Sarah Beth Durst book I mentioned, Even and Nod. Sisters Even and Nod are magical on alternating days. They may live in an ordinary corner of Connecticut, but they were born in Foroth, the land of spells and enchantments. Even loves magic and everything about it. Odd just wants to fit in with the volunteers at the local animal shelter. While Odd wishes her magic will go away, Even practices magic every chance she gets, dreaming of the day she'll be ready to become a hero of Foroth. When the hidden border between the mundane and magical worlds shuts abruptly, the girls find themselves trapped in Foroth, anxious to reunite with their parents, and assisted by a young unicorn named Jeremy, They discover a wizard is stealing border magic, and that the results are catastrophic not just for them, but for all of Feroth. Someone has to stop the wizard, and even realizes she cannot wait until she feels ready. She must be a hero now. So like I said, she's definitely become a favorite author. Such a magical adventure. Loved it. And not just a great adventure, but a great sister adventure. And such a unique story concerning their own magic. And I love the backstory of the other world and the character's family. And I absolutely love the whole idea of border shops and portals to this other world, like behind a bagel shop. And all the little details that the author always has to make up her worlds and stories. And great messages on what it truly means to be a hero and doing the right thing. Some people say they're doing what's best for everyone while at the same time hurting others, and that's not doing the right thing. This is full of adventure, magic, family, sisterhood, friendship, and unicorns. I absolutely love Jeremy with my whole heart, and I will never, ever look at cupcakes the same way again. You just have to read it. I also never thought I would want to cuddle a skunk before, but here we are. The humor in here is phenomenal, and it's just such an imaginative read. I highly recommend it. I just am loving her books so much, as always. And then I read Lemon Drop Falls by Heather Clark. Jellyfish Press had sent me this, so thank you very much. And this just came out this past Tuesday, February 15th. Brave the sour to taste the sweet. Morgan is devastated by her mother's sudden death. Before, Mom's amazing organizational skills kept the family on track, and her bowl of lemon drops was always on hand to make difficult conversations easy, turning life's sour into sweet. After, there's no one to help Morgan navigate her new role caring for her younger siblings, her worries about starting junior high, and her increasingly confusing friendships. All she can do is try to fulfill her mother's final request. Keep them safe, Morgan. Be brave for them. Help them be happy. When Dad insists on taking the family on their regular summer camping trip, and Morgan's efforts to keep her promise to Mom seem doomed to fail, Morgan's anxiety spirals into a panic attack, and Dad treats her like she's impossibly broken. Unable to share her fears and needs with Dad, and desperate to prove she's got the strength to hold the family together, Morgan sets off alone to hike a flooding canyon trail. But somewhere on that lonely and dangerous journey, Morgan will encounter the truth about the final words her mother left her, and the power in finding her own voice, and the possibility of new beginnings. I am so blown away by this book. It takes a lot for me to feel this way about a contemporary, but there's been some, including this one, that just not only where I enjoy it, but I fall absolutely in love with it. And this one took my heart, and I just loved it. Told so beautifully, superb writing. I was so impressed by the author. The chapters alternate between before and after, and it tells you which at the chapter head. And before means before Morgan's mom died, so we get to see memories and moments, time of life before, and what was going on in Morgan's life leading up to the tragic day. And after is, of course, after her mom dies, and for the most part, those chapters are current time. And I really enjoyed that aspect. It makes you even more invested with Morgan, her friends, her mom, the whole story, more of a connection. Everything Morgan had going on in her life when her mom died, especially the day of, plus about her about to start junior high and everything that's changing. It's a time in her life where she needs her mom more than ever. So, and then she feels like she has to step in and be a mom to her siblings and run the household so her dad doesn't worry. So she has so much on her shoulders, and she can't even let herself grieve, much less be a kid. She was just so incredible. So many great messages in here. Just the whole idea of the lemon drops was brilliant, and the reason, it makes perfect sense. Such a great analogy. I also loved how her mom was a life coach, and the whole idea of plan A, B, and C approach. Great. I loved her mom. Her mom was amazing. You feel such a connection to these characters, like I said. Highly recommend. Absolutely love the ending and how the story came to wrap up. You got a big old book hug. And then it's a personal thought and experience, and I shared in my review. You learn in the first chapter how her mom died, and it's blood clots. I'm not gonna tell the exact, because you learn later the day of how it happened. But so in the first chapter, I knew this would be hard for me. It's like I said in my review, it's like a window into what an awful alternate world of what could have been. And about 6 years ago, my husband had like a cramping in his calf that wouldn't go away, and so I made him go to the hospital, go to the doctor, and so they did an ultrasound on his calf, and it was blood clots. So they put him on a blood thinner, and after a month he went back for a checkup, and he told them that when he coughed, it's like he had sore ribs. So they did the x-ray and stuff, and they said they'd call us for the results. And like in my review, I said, I'll never forget, we were in Walgreens right down the street, and they called and told us to come back immediately. that the blood clots had traveled. Sorry. They traveled to his lung. He had 3 in his lung. And he had to come back immediately. So we went, and as soon as we walked in, they put him in a wheelchair. They said he could not be walking around because they could burst at any time and go to his heart or anywhere. And there would be nothing they could do. So he stayed in the hospital while they treated him. It was a few days. And they had a drip of, like I guess like blood thinners, but it was like an IV form to dissolve the clots. And the only way he could go home early is if he injected himself. So he didn't want to stay in there. I could never do this. So props to him for being able to give himself an injection in the stomach every time he was supposed to. His whole stomach was bruised from it, which they said would happen. Anyway, so he has to be on blood thinners the rest of his life. There's some scarring on that lung, but he gets checkups all the time. He was 37 or so at the time, which is really young, and they in the Midwest, and then when we came here, they wanted to test because it makes no sense why he got them, and they still don't know why. So, which is even more scary. So I'm just very, especially books like they just feel so lucky that God. God, let my husband's story continue. Let our story continue. So I am so grateful and thankful every day. And then the author in the back also knows that feeling. She has an author's note. I always recommend reading that. The tradition of lemon drops began in our home after I nearly died of a pulmonary embolism. And then, this is the blood clot. And then my 11-year-old daughter visited the school psychologist for help with the resulting anxiety. The counselor gave her a lemon drop, encouraging her to notice how the flavor changes, starting with sour, then mellowing to sweet. She pointed out that difficult conversations may also start out sour, complicated, tense, or scary. But when we share our truest thoughts and feelings with someone we trust, the sweet quickly follows. And so they continued that tradition. So I'm so happy her story continued too. I think this will help a lot of kids, and it just helps them. Like, I felt such a connection with this. So anyway, that's my own personal story, but anyway, just such a great book. Highly recommend it. I love this book so much. Then I read The View from the Very Best House in Town by Meera, Trehan, and it came out earlier this month, and I'd won an ARC on the publisher's Instagram, so thank you to them. Sam and Asha and Sam. Their friendship is so long established they take it for granted. Just as Asha takes for granted that Donnybrook, the mansion that sits on the highest hill in Corville, is the best house in town. But when Sam is accepted into snobbish Castleton Academy as the autistic miracle boy, he leaves Asha, who is also autistic, to navigate middle school alone. He also leaves her wondering if she can take anything for granted anymore, because soon Sam is spending time with Preston, Asha's nemesis, whose family owns Donnybrook, and since a housewarming party gone wrong, has forbidden Asha to set foot inside. Who is Asha without Sam? And who will she be when it becomes clear that Preston's interest in her friend isn't so friendly? So lovely and heartwarming. The chapters alternate between Asha and Sam, and also occasionally from Donnybrook, the house, who thinks a lot of itself. Great messages on friendship, gaining and losing, but also how to just be a good friend. Also, what makes a house a home. It's not the fancy or materialistic things or how big it is. So that's an important message. Both kids have autism, and I was horrified at how people treated them so differently and horribly in many cases. And treating someone differently is bad in its own right, so don't get confused. Even adults, the saying "it starts at home" when talking about kid bullies is very on point. Just makes me sick. Important themes on prejudices having to do with this, and also classism. I was annoyed with Sam in Asha's defense because I love Asha. But Preston and her mom, so hateful and ignorant to the core. Very well written. I love Donnybrook though, and always love the chapters from their point of view. Such a unique addition to the story that I really appreciated and loved. Really enjoyed it. So heartwarming and charming. Well, so much heart. Loved it. And lastly for the video, The Trouble with Good Ideas by Amanda Panitch. 12-year-old Leah Nevins is not a fan of change, so when her parents start whispering about sending her beloved great-grandpa Zadie to an assisted living facility, hospital jail, she is very resistant. Zadie's house, where her family gathers on Saturday afternoons, is the only place where Leah feels like she truly belongs. Sending Zadie away could change everything. Luckily, Leah remembered the stories Zadie once told her. To protect their family from the Nazis in Poland, he built Golem, a creature of Jewish mythology made out of clay. So Leah decides to make a golem of her own to babysit her ailing great-grandfather. The directions he gave her were easy to follow, but there is one thing he never mentioned: what to do when the golem turns against its creator. This had me feeling so many emotions, including anger that was so strong I wanted someone to unleash it on, like all these ignorant people full of ignorant hate and that are teaching their kids to be the same. This book was so good. It was magical, suspenseful, full of danger, but it also had some very important issues beautifully mixed into the story, and it made the story even better and stronger too. There are issues that almost all kids can relate to, like wanting to change something about the way they look, but don't ever think that. You're beautiful. God made you the way you're supposed to be. Like, just love who you are. Everybody's different, and that's beautiful. Then the kids who change schools in middle school, I'm one of those, so they can relate to that horrible experience. Also, kids who have a grandparent suffering from Alzheimer's or anything, and then when it's to the point where things change and you have to get used to the new normal as you do what's best for them. And then the kids who deal with any type of prejudice will relate and feel so seen by this book, especially Jewish kids like Leah in here. Kids were horrible when I was in school. Like, I've heard almost every type of bullying remark evil, but I'd never heard anybody being bullied for being Jewish. I don't know if it's just where I lived or I didn't see it somehow, but either way, it's very clear it's gotten worse over the years instead of better. I can't believe someone being Jewish means someone thinks they have the right to hate them and treat them horribly. It's just so ignorant. The things Leah goes through and the things other kids say to her, like horns, really? Really? How stupid that is. I've never heard of the octopus part, and I googled it, and the ignorance and evilness and just plain nasty people can be and think. I have, of course, as I've gotten older, heard some of the ignorant stereotypes, but I feel so grateful for books like this that educate me even further with knowledge of what this community goes through and has went through for hundreds and hundreds of years. I'm Christian, but I was always taught the Jewish people were God's chosen people, and I would not want to be these ignorant people treating them this way on Judgment Day. I know that it's just... Anyway, this is such a unique and gripping story. Everything going on with Leah, with the move, leaving her friends, her Zadie, her great-grandpa, leaving her Jewish school and now going to a public school, and she's the only Jewish kid there, I believe. And then the anti-Semitism she experiences, all of that mixed with the golem and what happens with that. So engrossing. I finished this so fast. Beautiful, engaging writing with amazing characters. And while the golem is the villain of the story, I guess the character Isabella was the true monster to me, and I despised her. I think because a golem isn't real. Not that I know of. People like Isabella are everywhere. The true monsters, the true evil. And while I can't relate to being a Jewish kid in middle school, I think so many kids will be able to feel such a connection with that, and that makes my heart so happy. I loved everything I learned in here, as well about different aspects of the Jewish faith and so forth. And so many good layers to make this story. Highly recommend it. It just breaks my heart. Like, we've learned nothing from history. Like, it just breaks my heart. So, highly recommend. Alright, y'all, that's it for this video. Have you read any of these? Did you enjoy them? Did you not? Are there any that you see that you want to read now? Let me know in the comments. And if you would like to subscribe, I would love that if you would like to. I hope you enjoyed the video. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.